Čau z YouTube, já vás vítám u dnešního videa. Dneska budeme reagovat na Uncanny Valley Effect. Víte, co to je? To je takový to nepříjemný, když se díváte na AI modelky, jo? A některý z vás by to měli poznat. A očividně někteří z vás to nepoznají, protože mi to furt kurva posíláte za AI modelky. Vždycky podíváte se na to, vidíte, oh shit, hot typka, bouncujou jí ty kopy. A ona je AI. Ty si myslíš, že je reálná? Není, jo. Ty oči nikdy nelžou. A někteří z vás to očividně nepoznáte, protože jste fakt špatný v rozebírání AI modelek, jo. Mluvím na vás, který mi to posílají už fakt jako se to naučit. Dneska se podíváme na to, jak funguje ta psychologie za Uncanny Valley efektem. Tak uvidíme, jak to bude. A nejsem psycholog, takže chtěl jsem říct non-financial advice, ale to taky. Negamblete.
Some faces
Ty český titulky budou taky hrozně mít, ale tak přečtěte.
feel wrong, not monstrous,
Počkat, já to musím hrozně snížit.
not alien, but just close enough to human to be terrifying. You know the moment when you see it. Something's off, and before your brain can even explain it, your body already knows. This isn't right. Psychologists call it the Uncanny Valley, a deep-rooted fear of things that look human but aren't. Why would we have evolved such a strong reaction to faces that are almost human? Our brains are ancient, shaped in a world of predators and prey, long before machines or movies. So what if this reaction comes from somewhere older? What if it was the last trace of a time when the world wasn't just home to Homo sapiens? Other species that looked human but weren't. Some we lived alongside, some we bred with, and some we fought. Maybe the Uncanny Valley is more than just an odd quirk, and today we will be breaking it down.
To je insane. Na naší planetě totiž žili mimozemštění. Kdo jiný by postavil ty pyramidy?
The idea of the Uncanny Valley was first described by Japanese roboticist Masahiro Mori in the 1970s. He noticed that the more human-like a robot became, the more people felt empathy for it, at first. But as it crossed a certain line, something strange happened. Instead of empathy, people felt discomfort, revulsion, even fear. The robot looked too human, but not quite right. The effect dipped into what Mori called the Valley of the Uncanny. And it wasn't just robots. People felt the same way about wax figures, prosthetics, and CGI characters that didn't quite capture life. Something about these faces, too close to humans but subtly wrong, triggered an automatic response. You don't have to think about it. It's instant. It's deep in the mind. And it begs the question, why would we have this instinct at all?
Na tady to možná vypnu ten Subway Surfers. To je fakt jako úplně deep téma tady to.
Our ancestors didn't evolve alongside robots or movie monsters. The world was filled with wild animals, strange environments, and other humans. Instincts this strong and universal don't arise by accident. They evolve because at some point, they kept our ancestors alive. Think about the fear of snakes. Primates, including humans, are hardwired to fear serpents, and not without reason. In one fascinating study, researchers showed monkeys objects that only vaguely resembled snakes. Even these crude shapes triggered stress responses. Why?
Kámo, to je jako já při matice, kámo, jenom slyším dupání něčeho těžkého na chodbě a ty vole, ten kortizol spike je šílený. Jakože fakt to nedávám. A když se to blíží ta matika, mám třeba 200 tep.
Because for millions of years, snakes were deadly predators. Any primate that failed to recognize the danger didn't survive to pass on its genes. Now ask yourself, could the Uncanny Valley be the same kind of ancient instinct? A warning system designed to help us recognize and fear other kinds of humans? Ones that looked like us but weren't. The existence of this valley suggests that
Týpci se učili rozpoznávat jiný kmeny. Na každé části země jako rostlinný kmen a když se potkali černou nahoru, což teda nevím, jako, jak často se stávalo, než jako překročili úplně nějaký to území, nebo oceány a tak, to museli vždycky zamrznout, tak kámo viděli je, vyděsili se a šli navzájem válčit. Nic s tím nenaznačuju, ale očividně lidi nemají jako rádi nějaký podobný lidi, ale ne úplně stejný.
at some point in prehistory,
Ne, samozřejmě jako v dnešní době už je to jedno. Ale kámo, nesnáším AI. Roboty. Vždycky mi řeknou, že mě mají rádi a pak zapomnou, co jsem jim říkal. Nemají se mnou žádný citový spojení.
there was a reason to evolve a fear of faces that were almost human. But what or who were we afraid of? For most of our evolution, we weren't alone. Modern humans,
Kámo, co je tohle do píči?
for most of our
The fuck? To byla hrozně divně.
evolution, we weren't alone. Modern humans, aka Homo sapiens, didn't appear on an empty Earth. We emerged in a world already inhabited not only by other hominins but distantly related lines. First of all, our ancestors were not always the dominant species. In fact, for a long time, they were prey more often than predators. If you think Africa is dangerous today, you wouldn't even believe the conditions that our ancestor Homo erectus lived through.
Je to tak, no. Jakoby, dokud jsme nevyvinuli aspoň nějaký ten mozek, kámo, tak jsme nedokázali lovit ani utíkat. Prostě jsme byli kořist. A někteří lidé stejně spadají do stejné inteligenční kategorie jako náš předešlý Homo erectus. Taky nedokážou utíct, což já teda taky ne, ale jako neumím běhat. Jako to je něco jiného. A ani se nedokážou dostat z té situace pomocí jejich mozku.
There were massive saber-toothed cats ready to pounce, territorial hippopotamus willing to tear you apart, and plenty of other terrifying pounds. Territorial hippopotamus
Moto likes you.
willing to tear you apart, and plenty of other terrifying creatures. But we didn't just evolve alongside other animals. At this time, there were plenty of other hominids around. Our erectus ancestors would have encountered Homo habilis and Homo rudolfensis, close relatives but distinctly different. Mistaking a group of habilis as your family while returning from a hunt could be the last thing you ever do.
Já po čtvrtce z matiky, nebo po jakýkoliv hodě z matiky. Doslova, já po jakýkoliv špatný známce.
But we also shared the landscape with very different lineages. Small-bodied Australopithecines were still around 2 million years ago. These guys were pretty weird-looking, with brains the size of a chimpanzee but standing completely upright. Imagine after a long day of hunting, you are taking a rest while your children play nearby. You take a glimpse to check on them, but you notice a slim figure luring your child away. Before you can even get your spear, the nimble creature grabs your child and runs off into the night. If you think it's scary being a parent in the modern day, our ancestors may have had to deal with literal child predators, as in they probably consumed our young. Other species like Paranthropus
Predátoři jsou stále mezi námi a je to stále hrozba. Někteří sem chodí na stream a dávají dona.
may have been more passive observers of our day-to-day lives. Some researchers have likened them to the cows of the human lineage, built for eating mass quantities of plant matter. They may not have preyed on our children, but their presence must have been eerie. They walked upright and were clearly related to us, but their proportions were just off. Massive jaws, sloping foreheads, and small and wiry bodies were a clear reminder they were not us. But they weren't the only ones. Other, even more distant apes prowled the Pleistocene landscape. Let's not forget about the ancestors of chimpanzees and gorillas. We only have a few fossils from the ancestors of these species, some of which are found in East Africa. This means we would have undoubtedly crossed paths with them countless times. And while they may seem timid today, partially due to poaching and human technology, I doubt they feared us 2 million years ago. Moving on, there were other primates in Africa that looked like they came straight out of hell. The giant baboon-like Dinopithecus was truly nightmare fuel. They had massive canines and large males could even weigh over 170 pounds. Imagine their giant quadrupedal stance.
Kámo, co to je? Jako dobrý, no. Běhá na všech 4 skáče po stromě, zavěsí se za ocás a uhryzne ti ruku.
Fangs glistening with spit. Words cannot describe how terrifying it would have been to come across an aggressive troop of these animals. Another terrifying animal was Theropithecus. This genus actually survives in a smaller form in the Ethiopian highlands, but during the time of Erectus, they were much larger. In some cases, large males could even weigh up to 160 pounds. And keep in mind, most Homo erectus males were probably only around 130 to 140 pounds. But though these animals were fearsome, we actually have evidence that Homo erectus may have been targeting their young as prey at one site. Check out this video next. This goes to show you that we were not passive actors. Our ancestors undoubtedly partook in the brutal world that raised them. Homo erectus, one of our earliest ancestors, undoubtedly encountered many hominids and primates that were uncanny. But now let's fast forward hundreds of thousands of years later. Our species, Homo sapiens, is on the rise, but we are still not alone. In Africa, we lived alongside Homo naledi, a species with a strange mix of primitive and modern traits. We don't have evidence we interbred with them, despite living alongside them for hundreds of thousands of years. As of 2025, we have only found their remains in a single cave system in South Africa. The weird little hominins may have even placed their dead in the cave as a sort of burial practice. Moving west, we encounter another hominid species, but we haven't found any of their fossils. We only know of them from the DNA of modern West Africans. The goat's lineage interbred with West Africans possibly as late as 50,000 years ago. We still have a lot to learn about this hominid, and hopefully we'll get some fossil evidence soon. When our species actually left Africa, the world only grew stranger. To the north and west, we encountered Neanderthals. They possessed extreme strength, though also intelligence. We have a long and storied history with Neanderthals. Our species first met in Western Asia over 100,000 years ago. As our species continued to spread,
Kámo, kolik jsme měli z různých druhů lidí a všechny jsme nenáviděli, to je insane. Jakoby báli jsme se jich, kámo. Se bojíme AI, to je v high.
into Europe, we gradually assimilated with the Neanderthals. These early European modern humans kept Neanderthal features for a long time, but much of them were eventually bred out of the population. As you can see on this map, Europeans retain less than 2% Neanderthal DNA on average, while Asian populations have a little more. But Asia was also home to another species, the Denisovans. This species has proven to be one of the most enigmatic of them all, but we finally discovered a skull of their species, so go check out that video next. Moving further into Southeast Asia, we met the tiny Homo floresiensis, the so-called hobbits, and Homo luzonensis, another small-bodied species.
Hobbity, no.
Despite all the
Takový kamarády mám taky.
differences we had with all of these other species, we didn't just fear them. We know for a fact that modern humans interbred with at least 3 other species, Neanderthals, Denisovans, and a third ghost hominid in Africa. So what does this mean for the Uncanny Valley? If the instinct evolved to protect us from these other humans, why would we also be drawn enough to them to interbreed? Could this explain why faces that are almost human spark such complex reactions?
A opička je krásná, ty vole, to dobrý, tohle je zvláštní. Pak tady máme krásnýho, nevím co to je, kámo. Tady ty bludi jsou jakoby, jako tady ten týpek je skoro člověk, jako ne úplně, jako fakt ne úplně, ale tak to už. Tenhle ten týpek, ty vole, to je mistr mušketýr, to je on. O, tady to je takový klasický no. To vypadá úplně stejně. Jak Franta tamhle dole z údolí. O, tady to, to je takový Josef.
Of fear and fascination? Well, there are a couple of hypotheses which could explain the nuances of the Uncanny Valley. Each traces back to deep survival needs. The first is disease avoidance. In a world with no medicine, no doctors, and no understanding of germs, disease could sweep through small bands of humans in days. Outsiders may have been seen as dangerous, possibly carrying with them evil spirits. Funny enough, we actually inherited genital herpes, likely from Paranthropus over 2 million years ago.
Jak říkal MG Fitman, herpes, chlapi, to je takový virus, ten je jakoby sexuálně přenosný. A když jakoby dáte někomu pusinku, anebo pusinku na pinka či pipinku, tak jako můžete přenést ten herpes. A jak to říkal MG Fitman, používejte ochranu a nebojte se, má to až 86% lidí. A máme to právě od nich. Od Patropovi. Nemusíte mu děkovat.
Could this have been an example where our instincts failed us? Recognizing even subtle signs of illness could mean the difference between life, death, and herpes. Pale skin, odd eyes, jerky, unnatural movements, even a slight change in the way someone held themselves. These were clues that something was wrong. And what is a corpse but the
Přesně, když se někdo podívá na mě, tak hnedka ví všechno, že je špatně. A když se na mě podívá můj doktor, tak řekne, že jsem zvláštní případ.
ultimate source of infection? A dead body is still eerily human, but devoid of life. That brings us to the second idea, identifying the dead. For ancient humans, the presence of the dead could mean danger, disease, or predators. Recognizing the death of your kin quickly would have been crucial. Our brains may have evolved to detect the fine line between life and death, and to react to anything that falls near that line. Faces that look alive but not quite trigger the
Kámo, jednou jsem viděl nějakou animaci Samary, kde vyleze z té televize, nebo jako pokračuje to zajímavé, je to na Twitteru.
same alarms. That's why horror movies use pale, lifeless skin and unnatural movement to terrify us. It taps straight into that ancient instinct. But there is a third idea, one that brings us back to
Prosím, já chci slyšet ten třetí, ten bude nejlepší. Tak mám 3 minuty do konce, to bude nejlepší idea.
those uncanny, shadowy figures in the forest. Enemy recognition. For hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors didn't just face leopards, hyenas, or saber-tooths. They faced other humans. Some were rival bands of Homo sapiens, others were Neanderthals, Denisovans, or late surviving Homo erectus. Close enough to fool the eye, but different enough to trigger caution. Distinguishing us from them wasn't just about skin color or clothing. It was about reading the face, the walk, the expression, especially when the stakes were life and death. A Neanderthal stepping into your hunting ground, an Australopithecus lurking near your children. Was this a friend, a potential mate, a killer? The Uncanny Valley may have evolved as a finely tuned warning system, an instinct to instantly assess faces that were almost human but not quite. It may have helped ancient humans react to the very real danger of other hominins, and this would explain why the feeling is so immediate. You have to wonder, could this instinct have been responsible for the extinction of every other species of human? It is possible. Everywhere we went, extinction followed for all the local hominins. Though we did breed with some of them, this may have only happened occasionally. Even today, humans have the tendency to meet the other with hostility. And maybe this is what happened to the other species of humans. So where does this leave us today? In the modern world, we rarely encounter the kinds of dangers that shaped our ancient minds. Most of us will never fight for food or territory. We no longer share the earth with Neanderthals or Denisovans. And yet,
Hele, já bych jako se tady zastavil. Já myslím, že spousta z nás bude bojovat o jídlo, když bude ve slevě. A o teritorium, pokud by nějaký jako byt zlevnil, jo. Nechci nic říkat, ale viděli jste ty jako Red Bulli v Tesku teďko? Krásu. Bylo tam hodně lidí, jako.
territory. We no longer share the earth with Neanderthals or Denisovans. And yet, that fear remains. You can feel the presence of another in a dark room even when no one is there. You pick up on subtle clues in wax museums and horror movies. It's the same jolt, the same instinct, ancient and untouched by time. Perhaps it is one of the remnants of a prehistoric world filled with threats we can barely imagine. A world where humans weren't alone, where seeing another upright figure in the dark might mean death or worse. And maybe that's why this fear lingers, because long ago, it kept us alive. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the eerie side of human evolution,
Super videjko. Pánové, jakoby Uncanny Valley Effect je docela crazy. Jako je to zapouzdření fakt hluboko nás, protože někteří z nás jsme se množili s těma špatnýma, i když jsme věděli, že to není dobrý. Když jsme je viděli ve tmě, jak nás číhají, jak někteří stalkeři. Věděli jsme, že to sice není dobrý a stejně se s nima někteří množili, takže že to nakonec nedopadlo úplně, ale co už no. Jakoby měli byste dát like na tohle video, bude v popisku. Hlavně se teda podívat na moje video, že jo, jak jinak. To by bylo všechno. Zase 13-minutový video a 22-minutová reakce. Fakt pecka. Jo, no nic.